Hana stood in the briefing room and tried not to show fear. Around her, aliens filled every seat. Their skin came in colors she had never seen on Earth: purple like bruised fruit, silver like polished metal, green like deep ocean water. They all stared at her with eyes that held no warmth. Captain Vess sat at the head of the table. He was Turian, which meant he looked like someone had stretched a lizard into human shape and given it too many teeth. His scales clicked together when he moved. The sound made Hana's skin crawl. "You understand what we're asking," Vess said. It wasn't a question. Hana nodded. She understood perfectly. They wanted her to die. "The creature has killed 17 of our people," the captain continued. His voice was flat and cold. "Every attempt to capture or kill it has failed. Our weapons barely scratch it. Our traps don't work. It's faster than our vehicles and smarter than our drones. So you want me to walk into the jungle and let it chase me?" Hana said quietly. Vess's mouth pulled into something that might have been a smile on a human. On him, it looked like a threat. "We want you to draw it out. Help us locate its den. With proper tracking data, we can finally eliminate the threat." Hana knew what he really meant. They wanted to watch where the creature dragged her body. That would tell them where it lived. Science Officer Kelm spoke up from his station. He was tall and thin with skin that looked like glass. Hana could see his organs moving inside him when the light hit right. It made her stomach turn. "The razor shade hunts by body heat and movement," Kelm explained in his whispering voice. "It measures approximately 9 meters in length. Possesses considerable strength and speed. Highly intelligent." "Perhaps too intelligent. What does that mean?" Hana asked. "It means the creature learns from its mistakes," Vess cut in. "Every trap we set, it avoids the next time. Every weapon we use, it adapts. We need new data. Fresh data. Fresh meat," Hana thought. That's what they really needed. She looked around the room again. There were 50 crew members on this expedition. Only 3 were human. The rest came from a dozen different alien species, all part of the Galactic Concordat. Earth had joined the Concordat 15 years ago, but humans still ranked at the bottom. They gave humans the jobs nobody else wanted: maintenance work, cleaning, dangerous tasks. Hana had signed her contract to escape debt. Back on Earth, her brother Taman had died in a factory accident. The company blamed him. They said his family owed them for the damaged equipment. Hana had been drowning in bills she couldn't pay. The colonial contract had seemed like rescue. Now she understood. It was just a different kind of trap. "You have the right to refuse," Kelm said. But his tone made it clear what would happen if she did. They would send her back to Earth, back to the debt. "Back to having nothing, I'll do it," Hana said. Vess nodded like he had expected this. Maybe he had. Humans always said yes when they had no other choice. That's what made them useful. They gave her a tracker to wear around her wrist. It would send her location back to the base every 30 seconds. They gave her a distress beacon, though Vess admitted it probably wouldn't help. The razor shade moved too fast. By the time help arrived, she would already be dead. They gave her 3 days of food, a water filter, and a small medical kit. When Hana asked for a weapon, Vess laughed. It wasn't a pleasant sound. "Weapons won't help you," he said. "We've hit that thing with plasma rifles and railguns." It barely noticed. A human with a pistol would just make it angry. Hana wanted to argue, but she knew he was right. Earth weapons seemed primitive compared to alien technology. If their guns couldn't stop the razor shade, hers wouldn't either. DeYoung found her in the equipment room as she packed her small bag. He was human, one of the 3 on the expedition. He worked security, though everyone knew that meant he did whatever grunt work the aliens didn't want to do. "This is wrong," DeYoung said. His voice was tight with anger. "They can't just send you out there to die." "My contract says I have to accept reasonable operational hazards," Hana replied. She tried to keep her voice steady. "There's nothing reasonable about this." Hana shrugged. "What choice do I have?" DeYoung looked like he wanted to say something else, but the words wouldn't come. They both knew the truth. Humans had no power here. They followed orders or got sent home in disgrace. "Just be careful," DeYoung finally said. "You're tougher than they think." "All humans are." Hana wasn't sure she believed that, but she appreciated him saying it. The next morning, she stood at the base's outer door. Beyond it lay the jungle of Kivros 7. The planet's 2 suns were just beginning to set, painting everything in shades of red and orange. The jungle canopy looked like it was on fire. Through the transparent wall, Hana could see the alien forest. The trees grew in twisted shapes, their bark black as coal. Bioluminescent plants glowed between the trunks, creating pools of blue and green light. Everything moved in the wind, or maybe it moved on its own. It was hard to tell. Somewhere out there, the Razorshade was waiting. Captain Vest stood beside her, along with Kellum and a few other officers. They watched her like scientists observing an experiment. That's all she was to them, a test subject, last chance to back out, Vest said. He didn't mean it. His hand was already moving toward the door controls. Hannah took a deep breath. She thought about Taman, about Earth, about all the choices that had led her to this moment. Then she stepped forward. "Open it," she said. The door slid open with a hiss. Hot, humid air rushed in, carrying smells Hannah had never experienced before, sweet and rotten at the same time, like fruit and decay mixed together. The jungle breathed at her. Hannah walked through the door. She didn't look back. Behind her, she heard the heavy blast door seal shut. The sound of it locking was final as a coffin closing. She was alone now. Alone with the deadliest predator on a planet full of deadly things. The jungle swallowed her whole. Within 10 steps, she could no longer see the base. The trees grew too thick, the shadows too deep. Bioluminescent moss glowed on the tree trunks, giving just enough light to see by. The ground was soft beneath her boots, covered in something that felt like moss but moved when she stepped on it. Strange sounds filled the air. Clicks and whistles, howls and chirps. Some of them sounded almost like words. Hannah reminded herself that most of them probably weren't. Most of them. She had studied the briefing files on the shuttle ride to Kivros 7. The planet was classified as Class 7 dangerous. That meant most species in the Concordat couldn't survive here without serious protection. The air had too much oxygen. The plants were too aggressive. The predators too deadly. But Earth was Class 9. Humans came from a death world that made most aliens nervous. The Concordat scientists said humans were unnaturally tough, unnaturally good at healing, unnaturally willing to ignore pain. They didn't mean it as a compliment. Hannah hoped they were right, though. She hoped that whatever made humans survive on Earth would help her survive here. The tracking device on her wrist blinked steadily. Green light, green light, green light. Each pulse meant the base was receiving her location. Each pulse meant they were watching her dot move across their screens, waiting for it to stop moving. Hannah picked a direction and started walking. The jungle pressed in from all sides, alive and watching. Somewhere behind her, she heard a sound like breaking branches. The Razorshade was already hunting. The first night, Hannah didn't sleep. She found a tree with branches strong enough to hold her weight and climbed. Her arms shook with effort by the time she reached a spot high enough to feel safe. Safe was relative when you were being hunted by something that could probably climb better than you. She wedged herself between two thick branches and tied herself in place with the cord from her emergency kit. If she fell asleep and fell, at least she wouldn't drop all the way to the ground. Maybe. The jungle never got quiet. Even after the sun set completely, the sounds continued. Some were familiar. Insects buzzing, things that might be birds calling. Others made her skin prickle with fear. Deep roars in the distance. Wet sounds like something being torn apart. Screams that sounded too much like human screams. Hannah kept her breathing slow and steady. Panic wouldn't help. Panic would just make her careless. The tree she had climbed glowed with soft blue light. Some kind of fungus or moss covered the bark. When she touched it, it pulsed brighter for a moment before fading back. Everything on this planet seemed alive in ways that made Earth look boring by comparison. She thought about home. Not the crumbling apartment where she'd lived in debt, but the good memories. Her grandmother's garden. The ocean she'd visited once as a child. Taman teaching her to fix broken electronics because he said everyone needed a useful skill. Taman had been good at fixing things. He just hadn't been able to fix himself after the accident. The machinery had crushed his chest. He'd died before the ambulance arrived. Hannah pushed the memory away. Grief was a luxury. Right now, she needed to focus on not dying. As the night wore on, she noticed something strange. The sounds of the jungle had a pattern. Every 20 minutes or so, everything would go silent. Complete silence, like the entire forest was holding its breath. It would last for maybe 30 seconds. Then the sounds would start again, slowly at first, then building back to normal. The third time it happened, Hannah understood. Something was passing through. Something so dangerous that every other creature went quiet until it left. She pressed herself tighter against the tree trunk and didn't move. The silence stretched. Then she heard it. Footsteps, but not like any footsteps she knew. These were heavy, deliberate, and there were too many of them. 4, 6? It was hard to tell. Something massive moved through the jungle below her. She couldn't see it clearly in the darkness, just a shape that seemed to absorb the bioluminescent light, bigger than any predator from Earth. It moved with the fluid grace of a hunting cat, but there was something wrong about the way it flowed between the trees. The razor shade, it had to be. Hana didn't breathe, didn't blink. The creature paused directly under her tree. She heard it sniffing, a wet sound like bellows pumping air. Could it smell her? The briefing said it hunted by heat, but maybe it had other senses too. Time seemed to stop. Hana's heart hammered so hard she was sure the creature could hear it. Then it moved on. The shape melted back into the shadows. Gradually, the jungle sounds returned. Whatever had been hunting had passed by. Hana let out a shaking breath. She had survived the first night. The second day brought new challenges. Hana climbed down from her tree as the twin suns rose, painting the jungle canopy in gold and crimson light. Her body ached from sleeping in such an uncomfortable position. Her mouth tasted like metal from dehydration. Even though she'd been drinking from her water filter, she needed to find food. The ration bars in her pack wouldn't last forever, and she had to assume she'd be out here longer than 3 days. The aliens probably hoped the razor shade would kill her quickly, but Hana planned to disappoint them. The jungle offered plenty of plant life, but Hana knew better than to eat anything without testing it first. Alien biochemistry didn't always match human biochemistry. Something that looked like fruit might be deadly poison. She found a stream running between black rocks. The water looked clear, so she filtered some and drank. It tasted faintly of sulfur, but wasn't terrible. While she knelt by the stream, she noticed fish-like creatures darting through the shallows. They had too many fins and eyes on stalks, but they were clearly alive and thriving. If the water supported life, maybe she could catch something. She spent an hour fashioning a spear from a straight branch and a sharp rock she found near the stream. It was crude work, but it reminded her of Taman teaching her about leverage and angles. Tools, he'd always said, were what separated humans from animals. Though right now, Hana felt more animal than human. Dirty, scared, running on instinct, she managed to spear one of the fish things on her 3rd try. It thrashed on the end of her makeshift weapon, making sounds like angry clicking. Hana killed it quickly and examined it. The meat inside looked pale and flaky. She took a tiny bite, then waited an hour to see if she'd get sick. When nothing happened, she ate the rest. It tasted like mushrooms mixed with chicken. Not great, but not terrible either. Most importantly, it was food. She was cleaning her hands in the stream when she felt it. That sensation of being watched. The same feeling that made human ancestors look up and see the leopard in the tree. Hana froze. Slowly, carefully, she turned her head. The razor shade stood 20 feet away. In daylight, it was even more terrifying than she'd imagined. Its body was covered in scales that looked like black glass, each one catching the light and splitting it into rainbow colors. It stood on 6 legs, each ending in claws as long as Hana's forearm. Its head was angular and sleek, with 6 eyes arranged in 2 rows. All of them were fixed on her. The creature was beautiful. The creature was death. Hana's first instinct was to run. Every molecule in her body screamed at her to flee. But she remembered the briefing. Running triggers prey drive. Predators chase things that run, so instead she went still, completely, utterly still. The razor shade tilted its head, studying her. It took 1 step closer, then another. Each footfall was silent despite the creature's massive size. When it moved, its scales shifted and flowed like liquid shadow. It was close enough now that Hana could smell it. Musk and metal and something organic she couldn't name. Its breath came out in small puffs of steam. This close, she could see that its scales weren't solid black. They held depths and patterns like oil on water. One of its claws reached out slowly. Hana fought every instinct telling her to flinch away. The claw touched her shoulder, barely pressing. Through her shirt, she could feel how sharp it was. One wrong move and it would slice through fabric and skin like they were paper. The razor shade made a sound. Not a growl or roar. Something softer, almost curious. Like a question. Hana did something insane. She started talking. "Hey," she said quietly. Her voice shook, but she kept going. "I'm Hana. I'm probably going to die out here, but I'd rather not die today if that's okay with you." The creature's eyes didn't blink. Didn't move. Just stared. I had a brother named Taman, Hana continued. She had no idea why she was saying this. Maybe because if she was going to die, she wanted someone to hear about him, even if that someone was a monster. He died fixing a machine that should have been replaced years ago. The company blamed him, said it was his fault. The razor shade's claw lifted from her shoulder. It circled her slowly, still silent. Hana turned to keep it in view, moving carefully. I don't want to be here, she admitted, but I didn't have a choice. The aliens think humans are expendable. They think we're just tough enough to survive bad situations, but not smart enough to matter. The creature completed its circle and sat back on its haunches. The position reminded Hana of a cat, a giant, terrifying, deadly cat. Do you have a family? Hana asked. Is that why you kill people who come here? Because you're protecting your home? The razor shade's head tilted the other direction. One of its front claws scraped the ground, leaving deep gouges in the soil. They stayed like that for what felt like hours, but was probably only minutes. Woman and monster watching each other. Then the razor shade stood, turned, and walked away. It moved back into the jungle shadows and disappeared like smoke. Hana's legs gave out. She sat down hard on the ground, shaking. Her tracker blinked steadily on her wrist. Green light. Still alive. The base must be watching her vital signs spike. 3 weeks in the jungle changed Hana in ways she hadn't expected. Her skin had darkened from the twin suns. Her hair, which she'd kept tied back, now hung in tangled locks. She'd lost weight, but gained muscle from climbing trees and walking miles each day. Her hands, once soft from maintenance work, had grown calloused and strong, but the biggest change was walking beside her. Onyx, the name she'd given the razor shade, had become her constant companion. The creature followed her during the day and slept at the edge of her camps at night. It brought her food, large, dead animals that Hana learned to skin and cook over small fires. In return, she talked to it constantly. She told Onyx about Earth, about oceans and mountains and cities that reached into the sky. She described her grandmother's garden, where vegetables grew in neat rows. She sang songs she remembered from childhood, even though her voice was rough from disuse. Onyx listened to everything. Its 6 eyes would track her movements, its head tilting at different angles like it was trying to understand. Sometimes it made sounds back, low rumbles that Hana felt in her chest more than heard. On the 15th day, Onyx had saved her life. A pack of smaller predators, things with too many teeth and not enough fear, had surrounded her while she slept. She'd woken to Onyx standing over her, scales raised in threat display. The creature had roared, and the sound was like thunder and breaking glass combined. The pack had scattered. After that, Hana stopped being afraid. She understood what was happening, even if it seemed impossible. The razor shade had bonded with her. She'd seen it before on Earth, wolves accepting humans into their pack, dolphins protecting swimmers, even crocodiles becoming gentle with handlers who fed them. Predators understood strength. They understood loyalty. And they understood that sometimes forming an alliance was smarter than hunting alone. On the 21st day, Hana decided it was time to go back. Her supplies were gone. Her clothes were torn. But she was alive, and she had proven something important. Kyvros 7 didn't have to be a death trap. It just required understanding. The walk back to the base took most of the day. Onyx followed at a distance, melting in and out of the shadows. Hana could feel the creature's nervousness. They were approaching the place where the aliens had their machines, their weapons, their wrongness. When the base came into view, Hana stopped at the tree line. The metal walls gleamed in the afternoon light. She could see movement behind the transparent sections. The aliens were probably shocked to see her tracker still working after 3 weeks. Stay back here, Hana told Onyx. Just for a minute, until I can explain. The razor shade's eyes fixed on her. It made a low sound, almost questioning. I'll be okay, Hana said. She wasn't sure if that was true, but she wanted to believe it. She stepped out of the jungle and walked toward the main door. Above her, she heard alarms start to wail. The base had detected her. Through the walls, she saw figures rushing around. The door stayed closed. Hana stood in front of it and waited. Her tracker blinked on her wrist. They knew she was here. They could see her. Finally, a voice crackled from the speaker above the door. Captain Vess, Hana. Is that actually you? It's me, she called back. I'm alive. Open the door. There was a long pause. Then, are you injured? Infected. I'm fine. Tired and hungry, but fine. Let me in. Another pause. She could imagine the conversation happening inside. The surprise, the confusion. The human they'd sent to die had come back. "Stand by," Vess said. The door cracked open just wide enough for a medical drone to fly out. It circled Hana, scanning her with blue light. She stood still and let it work. After a minute, it flew back inside. "You're clear of pathogens," Vess announced. "You can enter, slowly." Hana stepped toward the door. Behind her, she heard movement. Onyx had followed her out of the tree line. The creature sat at the edge of the clearing, watching. "Hana," Vess's voice went sharp. "Is that the razor shade behind you?" "Yes," Hana said. "But it's not going to hurt anyone." Get inside now." The door slammed open. Hands grabbed Hana and yanked her into the base. She stumbled and fell as the door slammed shut behind her. Through the transparent wall, she could see Onyx standing up, scales rippling in agitation. "No," Hana shouted. "Don't hurt it." Captain Vess stood at the command console, his scaled hand hovering over controls. Around him, security personnel had raised plasma rifles. They were aiming at the transparent wall. "At Onyx, that thing killed 17 people, Vess said coldly. "And now it's followed you here. We need to destroy it before it attacks." "It's not going to attack." Hana struggled to her feet. "It's been protecting me for 3 weeks. It saved my life." "Impossible," Science Officer Kelm said. He stared at her like she was a specimen he couldn't classify. "The razor shade is an apex predator. It doesn't form social bonds." "Well, this one did." Hana moved toward the transparent wall. Outside, Onyx paced back and forth, its eyes fixed on her. "Please don't shoot it. It's intelligent. More intelligent than you think." "All the more reason to eliminate it now," Vess said. His hand moved toward the firing controls. "Stand down." The voice came from behind them. De Jong pushed through the crowd of personnel. "You're not firing on that creature while a human citizen is trying to communicate with it." Vess turned to glare at him. "You have no authority here, security officer. I have enough authority to file a sentient rights complaint with Earth's embassy if you harm a creature that's bonded to a human." The room went quiet. Everyone knew what that meant. Earth might be low in the Concordate's hierarchy, but they were fiercely protective of their citizens. Killing Onyx might cause a diplomatic incident. A new figure pushed through the crowd. Jisoo, the xenobiologist. She carried a scanning device and her eyes were wide with fascination. "Let me scan it first, please, before anyone does anything irreversible." Vess looked like he wanted to argue, but finally nodded. 5 minutes. Then we make a decision." Jisoo rushed to the wall and pointed her scanner at Onyx. The device hummed and beeped. Data scrolled across its small screen. After a minute, Jisoo gasped. "What is it?" Hana asked. "It's stress hormones," Jisoo said. "They're through the roof, but not in an aggressive pattern. This is protective stress. Like a dog separated from its owner." "That's absurd," Kelm said. "Razor shades don't bond." "This one did." Jisoo turned to look at Hana. "What did you do?" "How is this possible?" Hana thought about all the days and nights in the jungle. The talking, the sharing of food, the moments of quiet companionship. "I just treated it like it mattered," she said simply. Like it was more than a monster. Captain Vess's expression was hard to read. His scales had gone a darker shade of purple, which Hana had learned meant agitation. "Even if what you're saying is true, this complicates everything." "Complicates what?" Hana asked Vess, and Kelm exchanged a look. Finally, the captain spoke. "This expedition isn't just scientific. We're surveying Kivros 7 for colonization. The Vrin Collective wants to establish mining operations here, but they needed proof that the planet could be secured. Proof that humans, Earth's toughest species, couldn't survive the local fauna." The words hit Hana like a physical blow. "You sent me out there hoping I'd die. Not to gather data, to prove the planet was too dangerous, and to justify extermination protocols," Kelm added without emotion. "If even humans couldn't survive, then clearly the ecosystem needed to be cleared before colonization could begin." Rage flooded through Hana. "You were going to kill everything? All the life on this planet?" "It's standard procedure for difficult worlds," Vess said. "But now you've survived. Thrived even. And somehow bonded with the apex predator. That changes the political calculus." "You mean it ruins your extermination plans," De Jong said. His voice was thick with disgust. Before anyone could respond, alarms blared throughout the base. Red lights flashed. A technician at a monitoring station called out, "Captain!" Multiple razor shades approaching from the jungle. Dozens of them. Everyone rushed to the transparent walls. Hana's heart sank. Emerging from the tree line came more creatures like onyx. Some were smaller, some even larger. Their scales rippled through different shades, black, deep blue, dark green. They moved in silence, forming a loose circle around the base. "They're surrounding us," someone whispered. Vess turned to Hana. "What did you do?" Before Hana could answer, Onyx made a sound. It was deep and resonant, felt more than heard. The other razor shades went still. The jungle fell silent. Onyx was calling them. And somehow Hana understood. The creature wasn't threatening. It was introducing her. The standoff lasted for hours. The razor shades stayed at the edge of the clearing, not attacking but not leaving either. Inside the base, tensions climbed higher with each passing minute. Captain Vess kept his hand near the weapons controls. The security team maintained their positions at every window and door. Everyone waited for violence that didn't come. Hana stood at the transparent wall watching Onyx. The creature sat calmly among its kind, but its eyes never left her. She pressed her hand against the wall. From 30 feet away, Onyx made a soft sound. "They're not here to attack," Hana said for the 10th time. "Then why are they here?" Vess demanded. "They want to understand." Onyx told them about me. About humans. Now they're curious. Kel made a sound of disbelief. "You're suggesting the razor shades have complex communication? That they share information?" "I'm not suggesting anything. I'm telling you what I know." Hana turned to face him. "You've been studying them like they're simple animals. But they're not. They're smart. Maybe as smart as any species in the Concordat. Impossible to prove without standardized intelligence testing," Kelm said, but his voice held less certainty than before. Jisoo had been scanning the assembled razor shades from inside the base. Now she looked up from her device with wonder in her eyes. "They're vocalizing. Not with sound, with subsonic frequencies. It's like they're having a conversation." "About what?" Vess asked. "I don't know. My translator can't parse the patterns. But there are definitely distinct exchanges. Question and answer structures. Debate, maybe." De Young moved to stand beside Hana. "So what do we do?" "Let me go out there," Hana said. "Let me talk to them." "Absolutely not," Vess snapped. "You'll be torn apart. I've been with Onyx for 3 weeks. It never hurt me. Not once. One creature bonded to you. There are 40 out there now. Different individuals with different temperaments." Hana met his eyes. "And if we don't try to communicate, what happens? You call in an orbital strike? Wipe them all out from space?" The silence that followed told her everything. That was exactly what Vess had been planning. Before anyone could stop her, Hana moved to the door controls. Her fingers flew across the panel. The door started to open. "No!" Vess lunged for the controls, but De Young blocked him. The two collided and fell to the floor in a tangle of limbs. Hana slipped through the opening door and stepped outside. The late afternoon air was hot and humid, carrying the familiar smells of the jungle. 40 pairs of eyes turned to focus on her. Scales rippled across 40 massive bodies. She saw claws and teeth and predatory power enough to tear down the entire base. She took a breath and started walking toward Onyx. Every step felt like it took forever. The other razor shades watched her with intense focus. She could feel their attention like weight on her skin. Her heart hammered, but she kept her pace steady and calm. No sudden movements. No fear signals. Onyx stood as she approached. The creature was enormous compared to her. 9 meters of muscle and scale and lethal grace. But when Hana reached out her hand, Onyx lowered its head and let her touch the space between its eyes. "Hey, friend," Hana said softly. "These are your family?" Onyx made that soft, questioning sound. Behind it, the other razor shades stirred. One of them, slightly smaller than Onyx, with scales that shone dark blue, stepped forward. It approached slowly, head lowered. Hana stood very still. This was the moment. Either these creatures understood what Onyx had learned about humans, or Hana had made a fatal mistake. The blue-scaled razor shade stopped a few feet away. It studied her with the same intense curiosity Onyx had shown during their first meeting. Then it sat back on its haunches and tilted its head. Hana laughed. She couldn't help it. The gesture was so similar to what Onyx did when it was thinking. "You want to know what I am?" Hana said. "I'm human. We come from a planet called Earth. It's dangerous like your world. Lots of predators, bad weather, diseases. We learn to survive by being clever, by making friends with other creatures. The blue razor shade leaned closer. Its breath was warm and smelled like copper. One claw reached out, moving slowly, and touched Hana's shoulder. Just like Onyx had done 3 weeks ago. Testing, learning. "We're not here to hurt you," Hana continued. "At least I'm not. The aliens in that base, they have different ideas, but I think we can find a better way." Behind her, she heard the door open again. Multiple footsteps. She glanced back and saw Daeyoung, Jisoo, and Minji, the other human shuttle pilot, had come outside. They moved carefully, watching the razor shades. "Couldn't let you have all the fun," Daeyoung said. His voice was steady, but Hana could see his hands shaking slightly. Minji looked at the assembled creatures with wide eyes. "They're beautiful," she whispered. One of the razor shades, this one with green-tinted scales, moved toward the new humans. Jisoo stepped forward to meet it, her scientific curiosity overcoming her fear. "Hello," she said. "I'm Jisoo. I study life forms. I'd very much like to study you if you'll allow it." The green razor shade's head tilted. It made a sound like wind through metal pipes. For the next hour, a strange meeting unfolded in the clearing. The humans moved among the razor shades carefully, respectfully. They touched scales, examined claws, spoke in gentle voices. The creatures responded with curiosity rather than aggression. They sniffed at the humans, made various sounds, tested their reactions. Hana sat down in the dirt with Onyx beside her. Other razor shades gathered around, creating a loose circle. She felt like she was at the center of something important. Something that could change everything. Inside the base, she knew Vess was watching. Planning. Humans weren't supposed to succeed like this. Earth wasn't supposed to show the Concordat a better way. As the twin suns began to set, Jisoo returned to Hana with excitement lighting up her face. "I need to show you something. Come on." Hana followed Jisoo toward the jungle edge, with Onyx trailing behind. The biologist led them to a cluster of rocks half hidden by glowing vines. "Look at these," Jisoo said, pointing. At first, Hana didn't understand what she was seeing. Then her eyes adjusted and she gasped. Carved into the rocks were symbols, patterns, artwork. "These aren't natural formations," Jisoo said. "They're deliberate, intentional. Someone made them," Hana said slowly. "Not someone. Something." Jisoo touched one of the carvings reverently. "Hana, I think the razor shades made these. Or their ancestors did. You're saying they had a civilization? I'm saying they might still have one. Just not the kind we recognize." Jisoo pulled out her scanner. "I've been tracking the subsonic communications. There are patterns, syntax, grammar. This isn't animal communication. It's language." The implications crashed over Hana like a wave. If the razor shades had language, had art, had culture, they weren't just clever animals. They were people, and the Concordat had been planning to exterminate them. "We need to find more evidence," Hana said. Before Veskin, an alarm cut through the evening air. Not from the base. From orbit? Hana looked up and saw light streaking across the darkening sky. "Ships entering atmosphere. The Vryn," Jisoo whispered. "They're early." Back at the base, Captain Vess's voice boomed through the external speakers. "All personnel, return to the base immediately. Evacuation protocols in effect." Hana felt Onyx press against her side. The creature's scales had gone dark and flat, a sign of distress she'd learned to recognize. Around them, the other razor shades made sounds of alarm. "They're going to bomb the planet," Daeyoung said. He'd appeared beside them. "Vess just got orders from the Vryn command. They're initiating extinction protocols." "They can't," Jisoo said. "We just found evidence of sapient life. The Concordat has laws." "The Vryn don't care about laws," Daeyoung said grimly. "And they have the firepower to turn this whole planet into glass." Hana looked at Onyx, at the other razor shades, at the jungle that had become a second home. "Then we stop them." "How?" "We're just maintenance workers and scientists. We don't have weapons or authority." Hana smiled, but there was no humor in it. "No, but we have something better. We have proof that the Concordat is wrong, and we have the one thing that scares every alien species." She gestured to herself, to Daeyoung, to Minji. "We have humans who refuse to follow bad orders." The first bombing run lit up the night sky like a second sun. Hana watched from the cave entrance as flames erupted across the distant jungle. The sound reached them seconds later, a deep boom that shook the ground beneath her feet. "They're clearing the northern sector," Jisoo said. Her face was pale in the light from her scanner. "Systematic destruction. They'll work their way south to us within hours. Around them, hundreds of razor shades filled the cave system. Onyx had led them here after the humans explained what was coming. The creatures understood danger, even if they didn't understand orbital bombardment. They pressed close together in the darkness, scales rippling with stress patterns. Dae-Young worked at a portable transmitter, trying to boost the signal. If I can reach Earth's embassy, they might be able to stop this. The Concordate's own laws prohibit exterminating sapient species. The problem is proving they're sapient, Minji said. She sat with a young razor shade, sketching pictures in the dirt. The creature watched with focused intensity. The Concordate's definition requires verbal language or written communication. Which is ridiculous, Hana said. They have language. Just because we can't hear it doesn't mean it isn't there. Jisoo nodded. I've been recording their subsonic communications. There are clear patterns, complex grammar, abstract concepts. But translating it will take months, maybe years. We don't have that kind of time. Another explosion lit the sky. Closer this time. The razor shades made sounds of distress, low rumbles that Hana felt in her bones. She moved deeper into the cave, following Onyx. The creature led her through passages that glowed with bioluminescent fungi. Other razor shades followed, creating a procession through the darkness. They walked for what felt like miles, going deeper into the planet's crust. Finally, they emerged into a massive cavern. Hana stopped and stared. The walls were covered in carvings. Not just simple symbols like the ones Jisoo had found, but elaborate scenes. Razor shades hunting in packs. Razor shades building structures. Razor shades gathered around what looked like fires or maybe energy sources. And in the center of the cavern, standing on a natural pillar of rock, was a sculpture. It showed a razor shade with its claws raised toward the sky, surrounded by smaller figures. This is a city, Hana breathed. Or it was. They had a civilization here. Jisoo rushed forward with her scanner. These carvings are old. Thousands of years old. But look at the progression. She pointed to different sections. Early images show technology, tools, buildings, then it changes. The buildings get smaller. The tools disappear. They went back to nature, deliberately. Why would they do that? Minji asked. Jisoo traced her fingers over a particularly detailed carving. It showed razor shades surrounded by machines, with the machines appearing to close in on them like a trap. I think they nearly destroyed themselves. Advanced too fast, damaged their world, so they made a choice. They gave up technology to save their planet. That's still sapient behavior, Dae-Young said. Making collective decisions about society. That's more advanced than half the species in the Concordate. Hana's mind raced. Can you transmit images of this? Send it to Earth's embassy? If I can boost the signal enough, yes. But another explosion cut him off. This one was close enough that dust fell from the cavern ceiling. The razor shades around them made sounds of alarm. Do it now, Hana said. Send everything. If we're going to die down here, at least let someone know what the Vryn destroyed. Dae-Young set up his equipment and started transmitting. Jisoo and Minji photographed everything they could, working frantically. Hana sat with Onyx and several other razor shades, her hand on her friend's scales. I'm sorry, she told them. We tried. Humans tried, but we don't have enough power in the Concordate to stop this. Onyx leaned its head against her. The gesture was so trusting, so gentle, that Hana felt tears sting her eyes. 3 weeks ago, she'd been sent to die by aliens who saw her as expendable. Now she was going to die anyway, but at least she'd die with a friend. The bombardment continued above. The cave system shook with each impact. Dust and small rocks fell constantly. Some of the younger razor shades made sounds of fear. The adults pressed close around them, protecting them. Hours passed. Dae-Young's transmitter kept sending data until finally, miraculously, a response came through. The signal was weak and broken, but the voice was unmistakably human. This is Commander Hyan of Earth's embassy. We received your transmission. Hold position. Help is coming. Help. Dae-Young laughed bitterly. What kind of help can reach us before the Vryn finish? The kind that makes a lot of noise, Hyun replied. Your images went viral across every Concordate network. A human woman standing with an apex predator. Evidence of a lost civilization. The Vryn just became the most hated species in the galaxy. Their government is pulling back the bombardment now. Political pressure? Nobody wants to be responsible for committing genocide on camera. Hana's heart leaped. It worked? They're stopping. They're stopping. And the Concordate Council has called an emergency session. They want to investigate Kivro 7 properly, which means you need to keep those razor shades safe until official observers arrive. We can do that, Hana said. We absolutely can do that. The bombardment ended within the hour. Cautiously, the humans and razor shades emerged from the cave system to find a changed world. Parts of the jungle burned. Craters scarred the landscape. But much remained intact. And overhead, instead of Rin warships, Earth embassy vessels now filled the sky. The next few days blurred together. Concordat observers arrived in waves, along with xenobiologists, linguists, and cultural specialists. They studied the caves, examined the razor shades, and documented everything. Earth's media broadcasted it all. Humans across the galaxy watched as Hana demonstrated the bond between species. Captain Vess and Science Officer Kelm were removed from their positions and faced hearings for nearly facilitating genocide. The Vrin Collective issued a formal apology. The Concordat Council declared Kyvro 7 a protected world, but the biggest change came from the Concordat itself. Watching humans interact so naturally with the razor shades forced them to reconsider their definitions. If sapience could exist without technology, without verbal language, without any of the markers they'd always used, then how many other species had they misjudged? 3 months after the bombardment, Hana stood in the same clearing where she'd first returned from the jungle, but now instead of a military base, a new kind of structure stood. Built with razor shade input, communicated through their subsonic language that Jisoo was slowly learning to interpret, it blended with the environment. Living walls of trained vines, roofs of woven branches, technology integrated carefully, respectfully, a sanctuary, a research station. A home commander Hyun had traveled from Earth's embassy to offer Hana a position. Chief liaison between humans and razor shades. It's a new position. We're still defining what it means. But you showed us something important. You showed everyone that cooperation beats conquest. Hana looked at Onyx, who waited patiently nearby. Around them, other razor shades moved through the compound. Some worked with human researchers. Others simply existed, watching and learning. Jisoo sat with 3 of them, working on translation. Minji played a game with a young one, tossing a seed pod back and forth. Daeyoung helped construct new buildings alongside razor shades who carried materials with their powerful jaws. What happens now? Hana asked Hyun. Now we learn. The Concordat wants to understand how you did this. How humans can form bonds so quickly with species that terrify everyone else. They're starting to think maybe Earth's death world nature isn't a weakness. Maybe it's a strength. And the razor shades? Protected. This planet is theirs. We're just guests, but guests who might teach them about the galaxy, and guests they might teach about living in balance. Hyun smiled. There's talk of offering them Concordat membership, not as subjects but as full citizens. It's controversial. Some species are terrified at the idea of apex predators having political power. Hana laughed. Let them be terrified. The razor shades are people. They deserve respect. Agreed. So do you accept the position? Hana didn't need to think about it. She looked around at the compound, at the jungle beyond, at Onyx watching her with those 6 intelligent eyes. This was where she belonged. Not in debt on Earth, not dying for aliens who saw her as expendable. Here, building something new. I accept, she said. That evening, as the twin suns set, Hana sat with Onyx at the jungle's edge. The creature had brought her a gift, a carved stone, ancient and beautiful. Onyx placed it carefully in her hands. Thank you, Hana said. She traced the carvings on its surface. They showed a razor shade and a human standing together. Not hunter and prey, not master and pet. Partners. Onyx made that soft sound that Hana had come to understand meant contentment. The creature settled beside her, and they watched the suns paint the sky in colors that only existed on this world. Behind them, the compound bustled with activity. Humans and razor shades working together, learning each other's languages, building trust, creating something that neither species could have achieved alone. The galaxy was changing. The Concordat was being forced to reconsider everything they thought they knew about intelligence, civilization, and worth. And it had all started because one human woman, sent to die as bait, chose friendship instead.